Hey, everybody, it's me, Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie. On this episode of CD Junkie, we're going to be talking about a group. But before I talk about the group, I want to talk about my co-host for this episode. This is a very rare episode featuring a real live co-host, and his name is Grant from Grant's Rock Warehouse. I will have the link to his channel in the description box, and I love to collaborate with Grant. I always have a lot of fun. But today we're going to talk about a band that they're best known for one song, but they have one heck of a catalog that stretches back almost 50 years. And I'm talking about the Rembrandts. Everybody knows Danny Wilde and Phil Solem are the Rembrandts, and they put out some amazing records. I'm going to be honest, the way that I got into the Rembrandts is because I was into their earlier projects that I'm going to touch on here. And so when I read about this group coming out called the Rembrandts, I was sold. I'm going, oh my gosh, it's Danny Wilde and Phil Solem. And now, Grant, how did you get into the Rembrandts?
Good question, Steve. I'll tell you, when did I first get into them? I don't think it was when Friends took off, though. When Friends came out and that theme song hit the radio or hit that TV show, I totally loved it. I didn't know it was the Rembrandts. I was captivated by that because it was just like a nice slice of pop, power pop. I'd say that's power pop. Would you say that's power pop?
Pretty darn close.
Pretty darn close.
Yeah.
But I was captivated by it. But I had already heard them from off their first album. I had heard Just the Way It Is, Baby. I think I had already heard that because that was kind of a minor hit. But when I heard the Friends theme song, I did not realize that was them. But
yeah, that's a lot of people got into them on that. So let's go back to the beginning though, and we're going to go through their catalog. Or actually, I have a stack of CDs here I'm going to show you. I may be missing a couple, but nothing quote unquote significant. Let's start with 1976. Danny Wilde was a lead singer of a band called The Quick. And their album Mondo Deco was reissued by Real Gone Music. And if you like early Sparks, Kimono My House era, and if you like some of the stuff that Kim Fowley was involved with in the 70s, this is supremo quirky pop. Now the band itself, it featured Danny Wilde, and Ian Ainsworth was on bass. A guy named Danny Bonaire was on drums. Danny went on to be in Choir Invisible, The 3 O'Clock. Stephen Hufstetter, I'm sorry, was on guitar, and he went on. He was in the Dickies for a very short time. He was also the main guy on the first Cruzados album. I think he was also a part-time member of Tito and Tarantula. If you like really quirky things, then this is perfect. If you're into early Sparks, this is something that you're definitely going to want to check out. Like I said, this is a Real Gone Music CD, and it features all of those bonus tracks. Now, there's another CD out. The name escapes me. I apologize. I think it may have come out on Cherry Red or something, and it essentially contains the demos from Mercury Records plus later demos from Elektra Records. I do not own that CD. And these demos here might be the same demos that are on there. I can't be sure because I don't have that other CD. Right. But this is The Quick, and Danny Wilde is the singer. Now, after this band split up, Danny Wilde and their bassist, Ian Gray, also known, actually professionally known as Ian Ainsworth, they went off and they formed one of the truly great power pop bands from LA. That was a band called Great Buildings. This is an album called Apart from the Crowd. It is incredible. It is just fantastic power pop. And the members of this band was Danny Wilde, Ian Ainsworth, a drummer by the name of Richard Sanford, and guitar player Phil Solem. So this is the first band that both Danny Wilde and Phil Solem of the Rembrandts worked in together. It's called Apart from the Crowd. There is an unreleased second album that eventually came out as Extra Epic Everything. And this was an album that they had recorded after this. And I don't believe that the album was like officially mixed or anything, and it wasn't ready for release. It's just, I'm not sure if the band were dropped from the label, if they broke up, but this is their second album. Not as good as Apart from the Crowd, but I've had 30 more years to listen to this album than this. A lot of great songs. It does have that classic Great Building sound.
Is it the same lineup?
Same lineup.
I know the other CDs on Wounded Bird, and if
they're both
anybody's
on
even
Wounded Bird.
Okay, if you're even trying to find that, it is one of those CDs that's hard to find. I've been trying to get it. Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Ever since we've been talking about doing this show, I've been looking for it. It's just expensive. I want it, but I can't find it.
Yeah, if anybody finds us out there, let Grant know. It is truly an incredible pop record. Hold On to Something is absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. But here is something interesting. When I saw Great Buildings during this time, it was basically, I think that they were in the process of recording the album, or they had just finished recording this, because they did a live version of Cherry Cherry, the Neil Diamond song, which is on this album. And maybe they did, one or two more songs from this, but they had a keyboard player. So it was Danny, Phil, Richard, and Ian, plus a keyboard player. And that keyboard player was Mickey Mariani or something. And he and Danny Bonaire from The Quick were two members of the 3 O'Clock. So there's a link here. So if you're a fan of the 3 O'Clock, there's two different links to that band, who are a great band, by the way.
Oh, I love the 3 O'Clock.
But so after Great Buildings split up, it'd been a couple years, and then Danny Wilde released his first solo album. It's called The Boyfriend. And he's back working with Phil Solem again. And this sounds like a mixture between Great Buildings and a little bit of AOR, a little bit more rocky, commercial rock. So it's not really power pop, but it does have the great melodies. And one thing I want to mention about Danny Wilde that I think a lot of people may not really pay attention to, and I really, really want people to pay attention, once they go back and listen to the Rembrandts and everything else here, is he has so much soul in his voice. He's not singing soul music, but there's so much soul and power in his voice. And so when he's, holding out those notes or whatever, it's not, McCartney-esque or Lennon-esque or anything like that. There's like soul in there. And, you can tell that this guy's got a lot of influences, and it's just coming out in pop and AOR, melodic rock. But this is incredible. It was in the last year reissued for the first time on CD by Rock Candy. And were you able to pick that up yet?
Yep, I've got it.
Yeah, and
well worth seeking out.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's one of those records, Steve, no one knows about.
Yeah.
I mean, it came out, and when it came out originally, it didn't do anything. Just kind of went into the oblivion, But it's nice to have it back out. And I must say, those Rock Candy reissues, they're all over it. They're such a fun label,
Absolutely. So many great titles. Now in 1988, Danny Wilde released the album Any Man's Hunger. And in this case, this and the next album are very much, I want to say, heartland rock, Americana rock, where it's very rootsy. It's closer to, like, let's say, John Mellencamp, sort of a mixture between John Mellencamp and John Waite. And, it's got that commercial side. It still has that great Danny Wilde, powerful vocals, some great melodies, but it's moving further away from the power pop and, the straight ahead guitar pop. Now, Phil Solem wasn't working with him anymore on this, though. Did you have a question, or are you familiar?
No, that's what I was going to ask you, if Phil was on that, or they were still collaborating at
No, they were no longer collaborating on this. But yeah, he would have been a great opening act for John Mellencamp. He wasn't that rootsy, coming from the Heartland type thing, but his music was very much in that vein. And so Any Man's Hunger was 1988 Danny Wilde solo album. In 1989, he put out the self-titled solo album, and this again is along the same lines of Any Man's Hunger. It's not a carbon copy of it. It's just him exploring different avenues. But at the same time, it's very commercial rock sounding. Whereas Great Buildings, it was very commercial, but it was power pop, and how power pop at that point, I think that album was what, Great Building was 81. By that time, the Knack were already, fizzing out, and some of those bands who we had such big hopes for in 79 and 80, labels weren't really paying attention. So they sort of came about a year too late. Whereas Danny Wilde was doing exactly, then very modern sounding music. So now, folks, the reason why we're here, that was just a big buildup. These are all things that are worthy of you buying. Definitely check them out. But let's start with the Rembrandts and their debut album from 1990. I remember hearing this and just going, oh, there's that sound again. It wasn't quite Great Buildings. It really wasn't quite Danny Wilde, the boyfriend, but it was those two harmonies. And you can tell that there's a musical chemistry between these two guys. Mm-hmm. Something was always drawing them back together. And this, of course, has Just the Way It Is, Baby, which is incredible. A band that I like to compare the Rembrandts to, I mean, if all you've heard is I'll Be There For You from Friends, which we'll get to, if that's all you've heard, you're totally missing out, because this actually sounds a lot to me. They travel a lot of the same musical landscapes that Crowded House does.
I was thinking this. We are on the same track. I was thinking Crowded House totally on this. I keep thinking Mitchell Froom production, though I don't think, but no. I think it's that time period, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't know, but there's something about it that I hear Crowded House. If you like Crowded House, this might be up your alley. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. And
absolutely.
It's so melodic. Their voices work so well together. There is a musical chemistry. I mean, they seem like musical brothers, and it's really a fantastic album. Came out in 1990, and Just the Way It Is, Baby is incredible. Every time I hear it, I mean, how long has it been? It's been 33 going on 34 years now, and still gives me chills.
Well, we're think about this. This came out in 1990. Basically, we're still in the 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
Think about it. Mm-hmm. And considering that 80s production, you don't have that on this record.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You've got that open drum. There's nothing here that really dates it. It sounds very modern.
Absolutely. It's a timeless record.
But it harkens back, when I listen to this record, it harkens back to an older time. Sometimes when I hear it, I don't know if this is a critique or not. The songwriting's there, the vocals are there. I mean, Pat Mastelotto is playing drums. The musicians on this record, top notch. Okay. Mm-hmm. But the songwriting harkens back to sometimes I wish this record was recorded in 1968, 1967, even maybe the early 70s, just so it would have that sound. 'Cause it's pretty clean. I mean, it's modern production.
Yeah. It's a very timeless record. Yeah.
I could use a little bit more grit here. That's my only critique. You know what I mean? Can you hear it like in 1968 or something?
Oh, yeah. 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 But that grit that you would hear is probably just distortion.
Well, maybe needs some distortion.
Yeah. No.
The other thing that reminds me,
I think it's a pretty flawless record.
But Jellyfish kind of creep in too. Though Jellyfish is much more produced, a lot more instrumentation.
I mean, I hear bits of Everly Brothers in there, and I don't want to compare them to the Beatles, Lennon and McCartney, but there is that great chemistry between the two.
Right.
But I will mention the Beatles when I talk about Untitled from 1992, because this album has that Crowded House feel like the first album, but it has more of a Beatles feel to it. There's I don't know if there's Mellotron on here. I didn't look at the instrumentation. If there's Mellotron,
I think there is Mellotron, because I can't remember exactly what track it was. Something towards the end. Oh crap, brain problem. I do believe there's Mellotron on it. This record sounds much more of a 60s.
Yeah, very much. Still very modern
style of record. Yeah,
but it's dragging the 60s into it. And it had, in my opinion, it doesn't have Just the Way It Is, Baby, but it has a lot of other great songs on it. I think that this was them totally moving forward. Again, that Crowded House sound. I'm saying that they're coming from the same exact place that Neil Finn is coming from. There's probably the same influences. I think it's a fantastic record. It's called Untitled.
I'm going to throw this out there because it just occurred to me. I hear the Left Bank on here.
Okay. Yeah.
to some degree.
Yeah.
Now,
I'll agree with that.
it's not like in your face, but I can hear
Yeah.
that influence, more of that Baroque pop type
Yeah.
of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Though it's not really Baroque pop,
Yeah.
but it's a
Yeah.
little bit different. They've progressed a little bit more
Yeah.
from the first record. There's a lot more production. This record didn't get as not good of reviews as that first record.
Mm-hmm.
The first record, like 4-star reviews pretty much across the board. This was like a 2-star review record. And I think that's totally unfair because I think they are progressing. I love the songs on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe there's not like a single that really grabs you, but just the tracks and the way they flow together. I think it's a big improvement. I do.
I also think, just look at what was happening at that time. You're already in 1992. So the heavier stuff, alternative stuff is taking off basically.
Right.
And then you've got, so everyone, wants to hear the Red Hot Chili Peppers or whoever was around at that time, Nirvana, whatever.
Nirvana, 91.
Yeah. So that's why artists or critics are probably going, well, they're not turning everything up to 11. No way. Rembrandts are creating the music that they want to create. And it's coming from a good place. It's not coming from a place where, we want to go out and sell 1 million records. Now, of course, I'm sure that they would be happy to sell 1 million records, which they did on the next album. But I love that album. In fact, let's talk about the next album, Grant.
All right. Yep.
That is from 1995, the album LP. This is the album with the theme from Friends. And I think it was tagged at the end because I think that this album was finished and ready to go. And then they threw that song on. This was not an album that was built around that. They had already recorded that, already recorded the album. And there you go.
I think on the original CD, it was on there, but it was unlisted.
Correct.
Now, it might have been tagged on, but they didn't update the album artwork. I should have pulled my CD. I can't remember if mine's got it listed on there or not. I think it does. It might be a later press. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if no, I don't think mine has it listed.
You probably got it right when it came out. So,
well, the sticker does say the theme from Friends. So,
all right. So they added the sticker on it,
but I don't think that this is as strong as the first two albums.
I don't either. I think I'll Be There For You doesn't fit on this record at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like anything else that's on here. I think it would have fit better on I think I'll Be There For You would have fit much better on Spin This.
Yes, which
we'll the album before. We're going to get to Spin This, but I'll Be There For You is more along the lines of the next record.
Yeah. Now, I like this album a lot, but when you have two great albums before it, and then you put out just a really, 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 really very, 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 very good album.
Right.
In my opinion, I don't think that this is as good as the first two, but it's still loads better than a lot of other stuff.
The end of the beginning, the way it leads off, it leads off very strong. Easy to forget, My Own Way. It's side one strong, I'll give you that. Well, we didn't have sides then in 95,
but in the CD age, even it was called LP. But still, it's very, very worthwhile. But if you were expecting an album full of I'll Be There For Yous, you did not get it.
I like it when they're doing power pop, and I'm going to call I Be There For You power pop. Hey, we're 1995. That's probably pretty close to as much as power pop we're going to get. And I think they really knock it out of the park. In fact, I watched the video today of them playing, I think in 95 on David Letterman's show. Have you seen that clip?
No, I haven't.
Check it out. And of course, they're playing with Dave's band.
Yeah.
But oh my God, the energy and their vocal performance, the blend of both of them together. Check out that clip. Anybody else watching this, check out that clip. It's great.
I don't rate I'll Be There For You as one of my favorite Rembrandt songs. The Rembrandts had a certain feel. That song was sort of taking that feel and putting it in sort of a new picture frame. And it didn't look as good as the old picture frame, but it was still really good, really nice. So it's not my favorite, but still, if you just go back and take the album for what it is, which is just a great pop album, then you're really going to enjoy it. But I think too many people expected I'll Be There For You and or an album full of those, and it wasn't that at all.
I think I'll Be There For You was a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Absolutely. And I think the curse happened. I think there was too much pressure. I don't know what it was, but in 1998, Phil Solem was no longer involved with the Rembrandts, so it came out under the name Danny Wilde and the Rembrandts. And this album was far more upbeat, far more like I'll Be There For You. Bunch of great songs.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yes.
bunch of great songs. It's closer to the Rembrandts, I'll Be There For You type pop. And it's, you know, nothing like Danny Wilde's solo album. So, you know, this doesn't sound like he reverted back to his solo albums. This was him just moving on with that Rembrandt sound. I really enjoy this album a lot. Like,
I love this record.
Yeah. I enjoy it more than LP, to be perfectly
Oh
honest.
yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to, yeah, this is up there. I really, the songwriting, the production, I mean, it's a continuation, but it's a little bit more harder edge.
Yeah.
And I like Danny, whatever you want to call it, Danny or the Rembrandts, whatever. I do like that harder edge with them.
Like you said, if you would put I'll Be There For You on this album, this is an album that's closer to that.
Now, you remember how we were talking before, how the earlier records are more crowded house like?
Yeah.
I don't find that here at all.
No.
Long Walk Back was written by Danny and Jesse Valenzuela, who is in the Gin Blossoms.
Right.
And when I was listening to this, and I'm trying to think, you know, I make some notes. I'm thinking, my God, that sounds like the Gin Blossoms. And then when I looked at the track listing to see who wrote it, I'll be damned if there was a Gin Blossom on there. And, but this sounds very Gin Blossoms. We're talking, well, we're 98. Gin Blossoms came out, what, 95 or so? This also, to me, I'm going to throw this out to you, Michael Penn.
I can see Michael Penn more with the earlier albums than
no,
this
I
one.
hear Michael Penn more on this.
Oh, do you?
That's just me.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you like Michael Penn, and no one's talking Michael Penn, I love Michael Penn. Just between us,
there's nobody watching, so
yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally.
Love it. Love his work.
Yeah,
it's kind of more in that line, because Michael Penn wasn't exactly Americana or whatever you want to say. It's more like this, I think. But what? I mean, this too sounds like a Mitchell Froom production to me.
Oh, totally.
All these albums have a similar tonality.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but it just maybe it's just the era, Steve. I don't know.
Yeah, that was all major label stuff. So let's hit the indie years, because 3 years after Spin This, Danny and Phil got back together as the Rembrandts and released the album Lost Together. I love this album even more than Spin This. It's full of great songs, and I think it's sort of a return to the first and second album, in my opinion. And you know, unfortunately, it was an independent label, so it didn't get enough promotion. But it did come out in 2001, and it's chock full of wonderful songs. What's your opinion on this album?
I think you're 100% right. I think the fact that they were able to write some songs, take some time off and write songs, I think it pays off here too.
And the chemistry is great between them. Absolutely.
I like the cover photograph, but it's on Jaybird, which is a very, I mean, there's probably hardly any distribution. I've listened to this, but I've never seen one used out on. I have to go out, you know, to Discogs to get one. I've never seen one in the wild.
Yeah, you got to come out to California. They seemingly disappeared for a little while, but in 2005, out came the collection called Choice Picks. Now, this is actually almost note for note re-recordings of stuff off of their earlier albums. Like if you put this on the background, somebody would think it's a greatest hits album. And it's kind of sold as one, but for Rembrandts fans, you got to check it out because they're different versions of the songs. Except, you know, I should have gone back and compared the Lost Together tracks. But I was thinking that they would be the same exact recordings as on the album, because they own the rights to that. If you're going like, oh my gosh, I don't want a hits collection that features quote unquote re-recordings, well, why don't you buy the Rembrandts Greatest Hits? Because there is the Rembrandts Greatest Hits right there. That came out the next year, 2006. And this starts with 2 great building songs. Hold on to something, and maybe it's you. And then features the best of the Rembrandts. And all your favorites are there. And these are the original versions. And this is a great collection to check out. You'd think that would be the end of our story. But no. In 2019, the Rembrandts returned with an album called Via Satellite. Another fine collection of Rembrandt songs featuring Phil and Danny. And this is a wonderful collection of songs. Have you heard this album, Grant?
No. I knew it existed. I sampled some of it today.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, it fits right in that pocket. I mean, it's
absolutely
instantly recognizable as the Rembrandts.
Yeah.
You know, trademark sound.
Yep.
Solid production. Songwriting's there. They're a little older. They might sound a little rougher, but it's the Rembrandts you know and love.
Yeah, exactly. And that is called Via Satellite, the Rembrandts Via Satellite. I know that we've been talking a lot about this, and in my CD Junkie videos, I like to feature medleys. So I put together a little medley that we're going to listen to right now. That's going to just feature some of the highlights, but I just want to get just enough in there for you to hear that Danny Wilde and Phil Solem, the Rembrandts, are uber talented, and they are much more than the theme from Friends. So sit back, give this a listen, and we will see you on the other side. Anyway, that is it. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the CD Junkie, along with my special guest host and friend, Grant from Grant's Rock Warehouse. He's over there. Right. Grant, thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I had a lot of fun. So, Steve, it's always fun to talk music with you, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, this is a super rare thing. I don't normally have guest hosts on CD Junkie, but now that Grant's around, I probably have guest hosts on CD Junkie. Usually if their name starts with G and ends with rant. Yeah, but thank you everybody for watching. Until the next time, remember me. I'm Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie. And